Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, May 21st, 2020. Today we are meeting as the Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee. This meeting is being held via Google Meet in accordance with the Governor of Massachusetts March 12, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 20. This meeting is also being streamed live and will be available to view on Facebook as well. To begin our meeting, I would just like to make sure I have everyone who is a school committee member in attendance. So I'm just going to run through my list. And just to let everyone know, Jessica Marshall will be joining us late. So Sharon, are you present?
Yes.
Michael, are you present? This meeting is also.
Thanks.
Mike?
I'm here. I had to go hang up the phone for the live notification. They call every night, it seems, for their emergency COVID thing.
Oh, okay. Abby, are you here?
I am here.
All right. Karen?
I'm here.
Jim?
Yep.
Pat?
I'm here.
Seth?
Yeah, I'm here.
Jeannie?
I'm here.
Sue?
I'm here.
And David?
I'm here.
All right, just a reminder for the folks that may not be here via video and are only using the audio. So if you are going to speak, just please state your name so that people know who's speaking when we begin to have conversations. So we are going to begin with citizens' comments. I do know that there was one individual who had notified me that they would like to speak. I just have to check the live feed on
Hi,
Facebook.
Kristen, it's Claire Brennan. I have one too, if I could.
Sure, why don't you begin while I'm looking at the Facebook feed?
Okay.
I'd like to go as well. This is Kathy.
And who was that? Okay,
Kathy.
All right, we'll start with Claire. We'll go to Kathy, and I will wait to see if the other person who had contacted me reaches out.
Okay. This is a letter from the middle school teachers. Dear school committee members, we, the undersigned, are writing this letter in support of Skip Zalneritis, who was taught at Pioneer for 11 years on our middle school team. We believe the work he has done with our students is integral. The technology skills that they learn in his classes are immediately transferable to each of the 4 core classes. This enables us to take advantage of a range of learning opportunities, Google Classrooms, slides, presentation skills, websites, etc. That would take time away from content standards if they need to be taught in core classes. In addition, Skip has provided numerous hours of technology integration support and advice to his colleagues. Being a short walk down the hallway has made it impossible to troubleshoot issues that occur in our classrooms on a daily basis. His work, knowledge, and skills are vital to our success as a middle school. It's understandable that the budget concerns direct faculty and staff placements, which unfortunately has been the case for a number of years in our district, possibly to the detriment of our students' ability to have the best educational available. In the spirit of transparency, it would be helpful to understand what other options were on the table when this particular cut was voted on. In light of our current remote learning situation, it seems counterintuitive that the district would choose to take away a faculty member who has the technology knowledge and skills to help us be more successful with this new teaching and learning platform we are expected to function in. Thank you for listening to our concern and support of this essential member of our school committee. Sincerely, Susan Fisher, Brian Campbell, Jen Eichhorn, Danielle Kemsley, Karen Browning, and Valerie Fontaine. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. If I can just have anyone who is not speaking, please just place yourself on mute. That way there's minimal background noise. Thank you. All right, Kathy.
So, folks, I was an observer on the sketchily displayed subcommittee meeting earlier this week. Sometimes the connection was horrible. Sometimes it was just fine. I came away from that meeting with the understanding that the Budget Subcommittee will be putting forth a motion this evening to make additional cuts to the Pioneer Valley Regional School District budget. Mike or Tonya, can you confirm that my understanding is correct?
I will confirm that the budget subcommittee asked the administration team to go back to the table to bring additional cuts to the table before this evening's meeting, and those were presented to the full school committee last evening.
They were presented last evening. Okay.
Well, they weren't presented, they were emailed because they asked us to have a different model ready for this meeting. So we emailed those documents last night.
Okay, so my information might be a little bit out of date, but I guess I just really want to urge the entire committee, if this does come up for a vote this evening where additional monies are asked to be reduced, that we please vote no. The reduction of, the inclusion specialist that never even happened at the elementary level, the reduction of the school adjustment counselor, the technology teacher, the administrative assistant in our main office at Pioneer are quite frankly devastating. And to be asked to cut even more feels like we've gone into the bone and we're starting to take off limbs of what is still a very, very viable school system. So I would ask that you really, really think about the sustainability of our school and our school system. And I really don't know why I'm all choked up about this. I guess I'm passionate, but we can't sustain any more cuts and continue to have a thriving, viable school system, which we have right now, but we got to have some money to do it with. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's present via the visual that would like to make a comment? Okay, I'm going to read an email I've been asked. Oh, yes?
I have a statement to read. I don't know when is the right time, but I feel like as a Warwick School Committee member, I want to speak to what's been happening, and I don't necessarily feel like I have access to the agenda other than during citizens' comments. So I don't know if this is the right time or not.
Sure. Would you mind if I just read a letter from one of the citizens in Warwick that was emailed to me?
Sure.
And they've requested that I just read it?
Sure.
And then could I have you do your citizens comment if you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to be reading an email that was emailed to me from Shauna Mallet. I do have her permission to read this aloud. She entered her comment on the Facebook Live feed for those of you who are watching. So it does say, "Dear Ms. Gonzalez, I am writing to urge you and the school committee to revisit the closure of Warwick Community School, given the news article shared in the Recorder about savings and the fact that the town of Warwick offered up money to cover more than that amount. It only seems right that discussion is reopened with the accurate numbers in place. I would also like to add that as a graduate nurse and a mother, the idea of placing more students in one building during a global pandemic is horrifying and irresponsible. Thank you for your time, and I hope you are staying well, Shauna Mallet." Okay. All right, Sue, go right ahead.
So I just want to make sure that all the school committee members received and have had a chance to read the two letters that came from the advisory committee this week, one regarding our concerns about transportation and one regarding our concerns about the budget process that ended Monday with figures that have now changed. So
Yes, I've read them.
okay. So I just want to say I think it's inappropriate for us to be considering voting on anything tonight because of how many changes there have been so quickly. This is an overview. This is an open letter to the PVRSD School Committee regarding the decision to continue providing educational services at Warwick Community School, a joint decision of the Massachusetts Commissioner of Education, Jeffery Riley, and the PVRSD School Committee. I want to start by clarifying that the consultants that analyzed the district's sustainability through a Hart Committee grant determined not that Warwick Community School should be closed, but that the question of closure for our town was complex and demanded further study. The town of Warwick took responsibility for that study, and study we did. In the spring of 2019, the Warwick Education Committee began work in earnest on our Horace Mann-Proposal, a public charter school proposal that included our town taking on an increased cost per pupil beyond the average cost across the district. At that time, Superintendent Schedule attended meetings and gave the impression of being a partner and a collaborator in creating a vision for Warwick Community School. Very quickly, with no communication or explanation, that stance toward Warwick and toward our proposal changed. There was never an explanation for this change in orientation to Warwick's work. And while our work as an education committee continued, our trust in the district as a partner began to erode and has continued to do so. I will always wonder what might have been possible if the open and creative stance that the district originally had through its superintendent toward Warwick had continued. So much is possible when open communication and collaboration are the foundation of group interaction. We committed ourselves to creating a school that would preserve the essence of what our community cherishes about Warwick Community School without being a financial burden to the district. The full school committee voted to listen to and consider our plan by scheduling 2 full meetings to meet, share, and clarify our ideas. Those meetings were never scheduled. The chair and the superintendent are responsible for scheduling, and our communications regarding the need for posting and holding those meetings was ignored. Our town's trust in the district eroded further. After not fully engaging in public dialogue about our proposal, the school committee voted not to even let Warwick's application move to DESE for consideration. This was another blow to the relationship between Warwick and the district. The Warwick Education Committee continued to meet, to work, and to pursue avenues for preserving our school. Town officers and volunteers spent many hours preparing documents to share with DESE, hoping that they would partner with us. Across our country, rural America has seen the loss of jobs in rural areas as industry has moved overseas. I get it, Sharon.
Yeah.
Come on, look at what's happening.
Well, we've heard a lot of this.
Profits in our communities have seen population declines that impact our ability to provide services such as small town schools for our children. Is our only solution to this challenge further consolidation and putting children on buses for longer and longer bus rides? I suggest not. I've come to think of our rural schools as island schools, surrounded not by water, but by land. Just like families that choose to live on islands because that is home and because they love their small town community living, we choose to live in our small rural towns, and we value our small community school. We were willing to work, to risk, and to pay for our small town school. By virtue of our entering into a regional agreement many decades ago, we now come to find out we have forfeited our right to choose and to engage in that commitment and that work. At the core of this school closure experience, that is the thing that feels most wrong. How is it that a town, a legal entity unto itself, can be so disenfranchised by a district agreement and by the State Department of Education that a regional school committee can vote to close its school even as that town demonstrates a willingness to create a school that does not pose an undue further financial burden? This is wrong, and I believe indicates a need for all towns who have previously been convinced by the Department of Education to consider regionalization to begin to discuss and clarify if and how their regional agreements might put them at the same risk. I think I speak for many Warwick citizens when I say that what is happening here is that Warwick's treasure is being taken against our will and used to improve conditions at other schools in the district. This is after we proposed to not have children in Warwick cost more per student to educate, and after we offered to take on the daily and yearly maintenance of our school building. That's wrong. Since the vote to no longer have Warwick be a PVRS district site for education, COVID-19 has rearranged our lives and the education landscape. Now we are encouraged to stay as close to home as possible, much of the time. In this new reality, Warwick parents are asked to consider sending their children on a bus ride that is too long, on the road that is very hazardous, to a school that is much more densely populated than the Warwick Community School. If we really are all in this together and we really are committed to long-term sustainability in our current model of service delivery, what we should be talking about is closing all our elementary schools, not just Warwick. That kind of long-term creative visioning has been absent for many years and has been needed for many years.
So
Well,
I'm
I'm just
sorry,
gonna
I
end
just,
here.
Okay.
I'm going to end here. While this process has exposed legal issues that I think should be further discussed, what is true right now is that the children from Warwick are welcome to attend Northfield Elementary School. I want to say that the teachers, specialists, and principal at Northfield Elementary have my full confidence and appreciation. My concerns lie not with their ability to care for and educate children from Warwick. I know that they will do that skillfully and with the same open-hearted commitment they bring to children from Northfield. I'm concerned that the erosion of trust that began between the school committee and Warwick's town leadership has left our town with an orientation of mistrust and bitterness that may be irreparable. While I'm not sure what families from Warwick will decide to do regarding their children's future schooling, I want to make it clear that while I understand the bitterness and mistrust, at the same time, I have faith in the educators in Northfield. I just want to say in Warwick, we don't feel part of a long-term vision and solution for the district. We feel used. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And I'm going to wrap up citizens' comments because we are meeting our 20-minute time frame with one that was posted on Facebook Live. This is by, and I apologize if I do not pronounce the name correctly. Her name is Julia Nicholas Dupre, and she writes, "Hello, I'm watching as a former student from the class of 2017. This is so hard for me to watch. I agree with Claire and Kathy Hawkins Harrison. These budget cuts are so hard. I also have written a letter to the school committee members in support of Erica Mason. I was not aware of the situation with Skip Zalneritis, which is also very sad to me. I may not be a current student, but as a Leiden resident and alumni, I still care deeply about the school." And she also notes you may share this comment to the live audience. All right. And then there's also a comment from Lawrence Prine, and I'll just read that one. "Dear PVRSD members, also we've tried to convey that school choice expenses will increase significantly due to fewer incoming and more outgoing students. The latest estimate from Tonya's office is $146,000 in savings. That estimate is less than the district will lose in the school choice line item alone. I'm very confident that a figure will be borne out over time." I'm not sure if that's a typo or not. "I think it's also safe to say that this school closure will result in a net loss for the district. A reconsideration of closure makes good fiscal sense. Please take a re-vote on the closure of Warwick Community School. Thanks, Lawrence Dockprine." All right. All right. That is it for citizens' comments at this time. We will move on to our agenda of the minutes. So everyone should have copies of the minutes dated March 26th, April 9th, and May 7th that were provided via email to all of us.
Kristen,
Yes.
Karen here.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, on page 2, it says need to find specific motion by O'Neill, so I can supply that.
Great.
Okay, so after the word with in the third line. Okay.
Okay.
It should read, "With automatic acceptance of smaller donations and acknowledge of those on the agenda."
Okay. And I do believe Ann is here as well, so we will make sure to have that corrected. Are there any other items that need to be addressed on any of the minutes provided?
Yes, on April
Go ahead,
9th,
Karen.
April 9th, there's some typos. Do you want those?
Sure.
Okay, on page 1, under number 3, 6th line down, the first word in the sentence is team, and it should be teams.
Okay.
And 5 more lines down, the first word in the sentence should be there instead of the.
Okay.
On page 2, there's a request to fill in the nurse's last name. It's Simpson, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Carla's last name, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
On page 3, under lunch reports, February, it should be small loss and loss instead of lost. Okay. And under subcommittee report,
Okay.
subcommittee reports, number 3, Tracy
Mm-hmm.
Novick's name is misspelled. It's Novick. And that's all I have for
Perfect.
that one.
Thank you.
And then for May 7th, under appearances, I was left out of some votes. My name wasn't there. And I voted yes for both of those motions on page 1.
Okay, we will make sure to add those.
And that's it.
All right. If the minutes look appropriate to everyone, we can entertain a motion to accept them with the revisions provided by Karen.
So moved.
I'll
I
second
move
this.
good. I second that.
Okay, I heard Jeannie and then Mike. Any other discussion regarding the minutes? No? Okay. I'm just gonna go down our
I want
attendance
to
again.
thank Karen, I want to thank Karen for being so diligent on keeping us up to date and correct.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, thank you, Karen. All right. Sharon, if you could just please state your vote.
Yes, this is Sharon.
Mike,
Yes.
Abby,
Mike Townley.
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen,
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim,
Tim Bell, yes.
Pat,
Darn night. Sure, yes.
okay, thank you. Seth,
Seth Kratz, yes.
Jeannie,
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue,
Sue, yes.
David,
David, yes.
Jessica,
Jessica, yes.
and Kristen, yes. Okay. The minutes have been accepted. With our first appearance, we'll begin with the superintendent report.
Hey, good evening, everyone. On May 6th, Commissioner Riley issued a letter allowing the closure of the Warwick Community School at the end of the current school year. I would like to recognize the value and importance that Warwick Community School has played in the lives of so many of our students, staff, families, and community members. Small class sizes and personal learning that Warwick has provided over the years in our district has set the school apart as a welcoming, nourishing, and academically esteemed institution. I want to recognize Northfield Elementary School and Northfield town officials for their welcome and support to Warwick students, families, and staff to make the transition comfortable and positive for everyone affected by this change. I would also like to specifically thank Chris Mullen, who serves as a 3rd and 4th grade teacher and principal of Warwick Community School, for her tireless efforts this year to not only teach her classroom students, but also lead the school and coordinate events, helping to make this transition smoother. We will continue to be in touch with families regarding end-of-the-year events and transition opportunities. While acknowledging the loss of such an incredible community school, we can also welcome the opportunity for positive growth and collaboration. I'm confident that next year will be an exciting time of new beginnings for both communities as they join together to continue to provide an excellent teaching and learning environment for elementary students. I'd also like to say, we had a meeting with the select board and finance committees on Monday, but with the 4 district towns. Kristen Gonzalez, the school committee chair, was in attendance, and Rick Kingsley, our financial overseer. Tonya Gaylord, our director of finance, discussed the budget that are being presented this evening and the potential decrease in assessments to the towns if they are approved as presented. Since then, we did have a budget subcommittee meeting on Tuesday, and additional reductions were requested by that committee. We discussed the financial impact with the towns of COVID-19 and the school district, and we'll continue to meet and work together to develop a plan to ensure financial stability over the next few years. Looking at fall school reopenings, States around the country, including Massachusetts, have started to reopen businesses and industries that were shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic. How and when schools will reopen remains unclear, but our administration team and Dr. Ruth Botti have started to think about what needs to be in place and how things might look in the fall to be able to do so safely. Dr. Botti will be working closely with our administration team and nurses as we put together a thoughtful plan to reopen. I have asked Dr. Botti to join us and share her perspectives on this topic. So welcome, Dr. Botti. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Superintendent. I want to start by saying that Pioneer really took the lead on this early, and earlier than most other schools, certainly most other schools in Western Mass, and well ahead of the state. You know, the superintendent, the principals, Carla Simpson, they were all over this, and we were talking about closing down our schools. Really did. And I set 3 links in the chat box of 3 different things I wanted you all to look at your leisure, but just a New York Times article from today that talks about what 1 week earlier of closing down this country would have done. That the reduction in deaths would have gone from current 65,000 deaths down to 29,000 if we had closed 1 week earlier. So I'm going to commend the leadership at the school level, at PVRS, in the district in general, for acknowledging what a massive problem this was going to be and how important it was going to be to change the way our kids learned fast. The second thing I'm going to say is the Governor Baker has been really conservative about opening up our state, and most of us in public health commend him for that, because we are not reopening things because we think it's safe out there, because there's a reduction in the prevalence of the disease. We are reopening things because the hospitals have the capacity to take the next wave of sick people. We have the ability to test more people. We have more PPE available. But if anybody thinks they should be hosting 120 people in their backyard for some Memorial Day parade, they're being both stupid and, quite honestly, inconsiderate of every frontline first responder in the nation. So there's a 3-phased approach to this. We are in the highest level of concern with a prevalent disease. This disease is not going away, obviously, for a long time. The way I'm going to think about this is that we're all going to be working together. The superintendent and the head district nurse, Carla Simpson, and I have been talking already, and we're going to be meeting more and more about how to plan for this. But we will be rotating between 2 of the 3 phases in the next school year. The first phase that we're in right now, which is 100% virtual learning with no contact between students and teachers and staff. That's the phase we're in now. I anticipate we will be in this phase next year intermittently. If things get a tiny bit better over the summer, the goal will be to return to school at a phase 2 level, which will be involve many different steps at every different level. You guys understand, and I linked again another article for you to read from the New Yorker from this week that discuss the 4 things that have to be in place to protect people. The first is hand washing, i.e. excellent hygiene and disinfection. The second one is 100% mask wearing amongst staff, teachers, and for kids who can wear a mask over a certain age, 100% of the time. The third one is 6 feet at least of distance between everybody at all times. And the final one is active screening of students, that no staff, no teacher, no student should ever be at school if they're even remotely sick. If those 4 things are not in place, we will have a resurgence of the disease. So every one of those steps has to be well thought out, and it's going to be tricky at every level. And we're going to do it in a variety of ways. What I'm about to say may or may not come to fruition, but there's so many ways that one will have to think this through. Buses will have to be decontaminated between every cohort of kids who ride that bus. We will have to have limited number of students in each classroom. We may have to do a staggered schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday. The notion of doing a split day involves a tremendous amount of school disinfection. I think that is going to be much harder to pull off. We will have to have scheduled hand washing times during the day so that people have at least 5 to 7 hand washes throughout the day. Carla's working really hard to figure out how to do the screening appropriately. But as humans, we can no longer send our sick kids to school. We can no longer be the tough teachers that show up to school no matter whether we're sick or not, because we're putting other people in harm's way. So it's a major cultural shift to put into place. It's a lot to ask. I do not anticipate that we will enter phase 3, which is return to normal. I do not anticipate that will happen in the school year of 2021. It may not happen until the end of the school year or the middle of the school year of 21-22. So return to normal, I don't think is going to happen at all next year. And we need to prepare for that. There will be, part of this is nobody's allowed in the school. There will be no assemblies. There will be no cafeteria. There will be no library. There will be no opportunity where kids can congregate. And again, it's going to take a massive amount of work. And I'll say something pretty clearly here. This is not the time to be thinking about cutting school nurses or custodians, because everything I just described to keep our kids safe is going to take an enormous amount of work. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm not going to be able to answer specifics because until we get a plan in place, we don't have the specifics.
Madam Chair, I got a question. Mike
Yes,
Townsley.
go right ahead.
Ruth, my question is, there's only so many custodians. So I've been thinking about this, and I think, you know, if it goes like it's looking like it's going to go, I think everybody's going to do their part for sanitation. And I think that having the hand sanitizer probably at each room would be a good thing. And also having sanitation spray for the desks for in between each class. If there's class movement, each classroom should take care of that room between those times, because I think that's going to be a critical thing as far as to reduce the spread of things that have been touched. I don't know, what's your opinion on that?
Yep, I think you're thinking it all the right way. I mean, one of the first recommendations from the CDC is there is no class movement, that kids stay in their own classroom and the only people that move are adults to each classroom. In that, in situations where there's shared equipment, either it doesn't exist anymore or that every kid has their own shared equipment, like art supplies that nobody else gets to use to reduce cross-contamination. I have to say, Mike, I am a big fan, talking to a plumber here, of water. I love water. I love soap. And the best thing to do about washing hands is 20 seconds of soap and water. It's much more effective than hand sanitizer. And one of the things that the superintendent and I talked about is going to Home Depot and getting those portable sinks that hook up. And we have stations that as soon as you walk in our doors, you scrub down like a surgeon, and then you continue your day. And on a regular cycle, kids are washing their hands, because one of the articles I sent you, washing your hands 5 times a day reduces spread of disease by 45%. We're not asking for every 10-minute hand washing. We're just saying most kids and most adults wash their hands terribly or not at all. So just adding that into the mix will improve things.
So I see Jeannie has her hand up and Sharon has written. Hold on one second, Mike. They have their hand up. I just want the school committee to be aware that we do have legal counsel who is here with us this evening, and he's only available until 8 o'clock. He is here for our executive session. So I just want to make folks aware of that, not to stop the conversation, but make people aware. So go ahead, Jeannie, and then Sharon.
Hi, Ruth. It's Jeannie Milton. There is, on a state level, school nurses that are working with DPH, informing guidelines for return to school. I didn't know if you were aware of that or not. I learned this at a webinar last week put on by Northeastern. So that is someplace else that you should be able to access.
Excellent. I imagine Carla knows all about that as well. It's excellent.
Sharon, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I just have the feeling we have a professional here that's telling us what we should be doing. We should listen 100% to Ruth Poteet's recommendations.
Well, Sharon, I love that little vote of confidence. I am going to give myself a little credit here. I do know a lot about public health, and I began talking about COVID in one of my jobs at the jail in January, and we shut down that jail by the end of February. We've not had a single case, in spite of the fact that incarcerated communities have had high risk. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you guys laugh at me in October and said she overstated this whole thing. That's fine with me. I can't tell you how much faith I have in the school district, though, to really think this through and get it right. We need to do it now. And I would argue we should sell ourselves publicly in the paper, online, that our school district is figuring this thing out now. We're going to make plans in place to protect our kids. And most importantly, in addition to protecting them, allowing them to learn in real ways. I feel so terrible for our teachers and our kids who are trying to do virtual learning, because it is not real learning. It's the best we can offer. Our goal is to, and it's going to be relentless every day, reminding and drilling down in order to make this really work.
Thank you.
So I see Sharon had her hand up, and then Jessica also has a question, and then we really do have to move on because of the time. So go ahead, Pat.
It was more a statement than a question. I think when we're thinking about our budget, we need to remember what Ruth has said.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Pat. And Jess?
Hi, Dr. Potee. This is Jess Marshall. And firstly, I just want to thank you for all of the work that you are doing on so many different fronts for the community that we live in. I am a physical therapist. I do home care. I am part of the essential personnel right now working with people coming out of the hospital. And I work with a very fragile group of humans. And I'm sure you know this piece of this. The work right now is tireless. It's very exhausting. And my world is taken up with limiting exposure for everyone. And I wonder if you have comments or thoughts about limiting exposure between our towns. I feel like this is impacted right now by the COVID. The question about this closure is back in the air again. And we have children that live in different communities. I'm watching my children. I am thinking about every family that they are coming into contact with. I wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to have an easy answer for you, Jess. I so appreciate the work you're doing, and it is so hard to be front lines to anything right now. I think everybody on this entire call is exhausted. I actually believe that we can protect each other with excellent distancing, excellent hygiene, 100% mask wearing. And we are so lucky to live in a rural area where none of us, by and large, ride public transportation, where most of us have big outdoor space. Some of us have big spaces in our houses, so we really can get some distance. How do I feel about the mixing of the towns? We're going to be monitoring this town by town. If we have a high-risk outbreak in Northfield, we're going to have to take a deep breath and think, how do we protect the entire school district? So one of the things I keep saying to people is we need to be knowledgeable and nimble. We need to turn on a dime and change our plans. And some people may look at us and think we don't know what we're doing, but we're doing the best we can with the data we have in front of us. So I just think we have to be very knowledgeable about where we're having any outbreaks.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Potee. We really appreciate all that you've been doing for the district. John, do you have anything else, or would you like to revisit your superintendent report?
Yeah, I think everybody's got a hard copy that, it's quite lengthy. I don't want to go into it now. I know the agenda's long, and, we probably want to go into executive session next.
Yep.
So thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it.
There's been a request to move the executive session up to the director, prior to the director of finance report, given that we have legal counsel here. Is there any opposition to that?
So moved.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Second.
Thank you.
That was
Is there
Sharon.
anyone who is opposed to this? Please state their name. No? Okay. So the executive session, we have 2 items to deal with in executive session. One has to do with collective bargaining regarding non-union personnel, special education administrator. And the second is to review executive session minutes, which will be provided to us once we enter executive session. So I would recommend whoever makes the motion, if we could address the executive session minutes first, and then we'll do the contract due to the time. And whoever does make the motion, we will have to include John and Russell as well, and Anne. So if there's anyone that would like to make the motion,
This is Sharon. I'll make a motion.
okay? If you can,
Pursuant to MGL C 30A 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions, contract negotiations with non-union personnel, special ed administrator. MGLC 30A at 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements. Open meeting law GLC 30A 22FG, executive session minutes 7/12/18, 3/14/19, 4/11/19, 5/23/19, 6/13/19, 7/2/19, and 2/6/2020. With the invitation of those people, we have Mike and our legal counsel, Jonathan, and who was the third person, Kristen?
Anne,
And our scribe.
okay?
Second,
Okay, and then we'll do roll call vote. So Sharon? Sharon, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, if you could start the
Sheriff
roll
on
call vote,
line,
please.
yeah.
Michael?
Mike Townsley, Bernardston, yes.
Abby?
Abby Pratt Leiden, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill Leiden, yes.
Jim?
Jim Bell Bernardston, yes.
Pat? Pat, are you there?
The mute button again. Pat Sherry Northfield, yes.
Seth?
Seth Kratz, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton Bernardston, yes.
Sue?
Yes, Sue O'Reilly, McCray, Warwick, yes.
David? David, are you there?
He left.
Kristen, David left the meeting.
Okay,
He hung up.
okay. Jess?
Jess Marshall, yes.
And Kristen Gonzalez, Northfield, yes. So anyone who is on the Google Meet platform, if you can please remove yourself, and then Facebook will announce when we are back on into regular session. And if you don't leave, I will remove those who are not removing themselves.
And Kristen, this is Tyler Pless. I have two accounts on here, and you may see one. I'm going to stay connected as one, but it's just only because it is a backup recording in case something happens with BNCTV.
Okay, and what is the last two digits of your number? Or are you on as Tyler?
I should be on as Tyler Pless twice.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, and
Thank
one of
you.
them will disconnect, but the other one's recording, and I will not be looking at it or anything to do with it. So.
Kristen, do you still see my number on here?
Who's speaking?
Russell.
Hi, Russell. Yep.
You got it. Okay.
Who's the last two digits? 23.
It's Russell.
That Ian?
My phone number is 1023.
Okay, that's you then, Russell. All right. All right, Chris, you're here. I think that's everybody.
Kristen, did we invite Kristen to the meeting, or is that a given?
Yeah, because it's in
Okay, I just was wondering.
I just can't seem to scroll. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't seem to scroll down all the way and see my attendance on the computer to make sure that no one else is here that shouldn't be here.
Is it the same on all of our computers, Kristen?
It's just the formatting that I have on my screen. I think I
Okay.
just need to change the layout. Okay. All right, Tyler from BNC TV. We're going to go into executive session now. Everybody is here that's supposed to be here. So as soon as you give me the word, then we can begin. Okay, we're back into open session. It is officially 4 minutes until 10 p.m. And we have a very long agenda to get through for the rest of this meeting. Go ahead,
Madam
Jeannie.
Chair, do you want?
I would like to make a motion to move all budget items to another meeting. Given the fact that they were very difficult to find and interpret, and also a whole lot of information to interpret.
So can you just be specific?
Well, it was like all the first things I saw all said 2020. And then it wasn't until very recently that there were things for 21, for 20 to 21. And then they were all in a zip format. So then you had to do something else in order to access them. It was very complicated.
Can I speak?
Hold on one second,
Kristen,
Tonya,
go ahead.
please. So Jeannie, your motion, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Are you referencing, you said budget, but I'm looking at the agenda. So if you could just outline the heading of what you're looking to put into your motion, please.
Can I say the numbers?
Just say the the heading.
Accounts
like if it's
payable, financial reports, lunch report. FY20 budget amendment, FY21 budget amendment, which is under new business. And that would be it.
Okay, so that's Jeannie's motion. Is there a second? David? You second? Yep, okay, I just want to make sure. Thumbs up, second. All right, David seconds, any discussion?
Kristen, can I just say something about when this budget has to be voted by?
Sure.
I have to have all budget documentation for the state by June 21st and a voted budget by the school committee. And there's a lengthy process we have to go through once it's voted to put it in the format to get it to them by the following Monday. Jeannie, I see your motions and the FY20 came to you within the 48 hours that it was supposed to. And the only reason you didn't have the FY21 48 hours is because the budget subcommittee asked us to go back to the table. And that's why that information came out last night.
But also,
thanks for the clarification, Tonya.
But also, Tonya,
hold
can
on.
I just make a mention?
Hold on 1 second, please. So we have a motion on the floor with a second. So let's vote on this, please, because it's 10 o'clock and it's been a long night. So Sharon Fontaine?
Yes.
Mike?
Mike Townsley, Bernardston, no.
Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
Tim Bell Bernardston, yes.
Pat? Pat, you're muted.
Pat Sher is abstaining.
Okay. Seth,
Seth Gratz, yes.
Jeannie,
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue,
Sue Riley McRae, yes.
Jess.
Jessica Marshall, yes.
Okay. Anne.
David's on.
Oh, I'm sorry. And David. I didn't mean to exclude.
David,
I
yes.
apologize. Okay. And myself, Kristen Gonzalez, yes. So the motion passes. So we're going to move those to another.
Kristen, this is
Who's
Karen.
that?
Karen.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I think we have to Tonya's requirement to have this done by, I think she said Tuesday, so she can get the paperwork in.
So
And the problem is
earliest
we can't post it.
Excuse me.
So the earliest that we could meet would be Wednesday, because Monday is a holiday. Jeannie, go ahead.
I thought she said June 20-something.
June 21st. She has to have it submitted.
Okay, I didn't hear May 20, I didn't hear May. I heard June.
No, it's June 1st, so it's a week from Monday.
Okay, all right. So the earliest we would be able to meet
So
is
what would
Wednesday.
happen if we missed that deadline?
If we miss that deadline, we don't have a budget next year. We have to go to the state for the 112th. It's a new act that was put in place because of this COVID situation. And we don't.
Well, I read that bulletin from DOR, the succession of them, and I didn't see a June 1st date.
I will pull up the document because I was just re-reviewing it while you guys were in your 2
It's
hour.
either -4 or -6, and it says to do it as soon as possible.
So that may be for the municipalities, but the school districts are under a June 1st deadline, and we have to provide, it is where is it? Chapter 56 Acts of 2020, and we have to have this information, the budget and our FY20 budgets, and basically a narrative to them by June 1st in order for them to establish 2020 budgets. And the reason for that is because 99.9% of your school districts across the Commonwealth are going to be asking for a 112 budget. Typically, they have a handful, so the state has to have enough time to be able to review them all and get back to every one of the 300 and something districts Commonwealth-wide to approve these 112 budgets.
So
Well,
for
I
the
just got to
essence of
say,
time,
we need to move on because it's too late to be taking up all this important stuff. It may be possible for us to recess the meeting.
so we could have a meeting on Wednesday evening. That'll be the earliest that we can have with the posting. Notice that has to go out is my understanding,
I
calculating
can
the
do
time.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll do Wednesday.
Okay, can everyone do Wednesday? And Jeannie, you can do Wednesday. Everybody else, thumbs up if you can do
Abby
Wednesday.
can do Wednesday.
What time
Okay.
would we be doing Wednesday?
We could do it earlier or later, or we could stick with our 7 p.m. time.
Move it to 6
What works
o'clock.
for you, Jim?
7 o'clock.
Okay,
7
Wednesday
works.
at 7. Wednesday at 7. So let's go to our subcommittee reports, please.
Can I?
Are we skipping over the Director of Finance report then too?
Yes.
Hold
I don't
on,
think that
Jeannie,
was-
go ahead, and then
I would like to just go back to something that was in the superintendent's report
okay.
regarding graduation.
All right, John,
And,
can you speak to that quickly, please?
Well,
I'm sorry, this is Ann, and I hate to interrupt, but there was no vote on. Oh, I'm sorry, there was a vote. There was further discussion after. I apologize.
That's okay.
It's late.
It's late. No worries.
I started at 4:30.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
my concern is the amount of media, et cetera, that's going to be present at graduation. And I know it's too late to change it. I just feel that the focus and the process is becoming less about the graduates and more about the school, which part of me can understand that. But I feel the students are the ones that are losing out in here. I just had to make a statement.
Thank you, Jeannie. Did you want graduation to be discussed and further, or that's all you wanted
Well,
to say?
there's nothing that we can do about it now. All this stuff is planned. But, all the social media, granted, everyone knows, I hear just from one student, but the report I received was that this graduate and her friends don't understand why the Commissioner of Education is speaking, and they weren't asked about it, included in that decision. And so that's why I'm saying it's become more about the process and less about the graduates. And I'm just bringing this forward, so hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Thanks, Jeannie. Okay, so Tonya, I apologize. I went straight to subcommittee reports. I was on my second page, but we did, Director of Finance report was not in Jeannie's motion, so if you could start there, please. And then we'll go to subcommittee reports and as the new business that was not within Jeannie's motion.
So I'm just going to make this quick because we're not going over the financial reports, but I just wanted to let everybody know that June 1st will be my first full-time day back, and I'll be immediately working on for year end and some projects that have been on the back burner during the part-time vacancy. I'm excited to be back and able to support the district in the financial struggle that we're going to continue to face in the years ahead with COVID, and the consistency is super important. So I'm glad that all worked out, but I have been working with all the department heads, facilities director, service technology, SPED, and the nursing department to plan for next year as much as we can in response to the way that schools will be required to reopen to ensure that the needs can be funded within our current budget and next year's. So I've been looking at updated expenditure reports and encumbrances pretty much on a daily basis. And that's been a pretty extensive process to make sure that we're still good at the end of the year and we're going to be contributing to E&D. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I made it short and sweet because I knew we had a long agenda.
Thank you so much, Tonya. All right, subcommittee reports, negotiations. Any update, Pat?
No, negotiations hasn't happened because what happened today. So no negotiation.
Building and grounds. Sharon?
She's left the meeting.
Okay, so it's my understanding that there is a tentative, they're in the works of scheduling a meeting for building and grounds. Curriculum and personnel?
Okay, that would be me. So curriculum and personnel has met on 3 consecutive Thursdays in an attempt to restructure superintendent evaluation process this year. Given the recent changes in our focus and immediate priorities since early March. Tracy Novick of MASC was part of the conversation at one of those meetings. We eventually came up with a hybrid evaluation process involving John's original goals, most of which were at that time conceived to be multi-year goals, and the new goals that he set for himself with the onset of COVID-19. So when we get to the vote part under new business, I will discuss the changes in the process before we take that vote. And also tonight, you will vote on a new job description for school counselor. And that's necessitated by the fact that the position has evolved from guidance counselor, no longer recognized as a position by DESE, and now certified under the category and description of school counselor. That will also be a vote.
Great, thank you, Karen.
Yep.
Budget subcommittee?
The budget subcommittee met on Tuesday, had a lengthy meeting, and the superintendent, the finance director, and the admin team were asked to go back to the table and come up with more cuts, which they have done. And that was going to be presented during the new business part with the FY20 and FY21 budget discussions. So we're going to have to wait till this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock to review all that. And that's when we'll discuss it.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Abby, policy?
So we have not met, but Tonya and I emailed a little bit since our last full committee meeting, and I'm hoping once she's back full time, we can dig into the student activity account changes that need to be made for the auditors, and we will go from there. That's
Great,
it.
thank you. And there's no update for district agreement. On to new business, the Vernon tuition rate for 2021.
So you guys have a document in front of you that recommends that not recommends, but it's the approved rate by the state of Vermont to be paid to high school, and it's $16,233. I emailed this document to Kristen and John probably a week and a half ago now, and the recommendation to the full school committee is that we set the rate for next year at $16,200.
Okay. And I don't see Tonya voting on here for the Vernon tuition rate.
Right, but the council has made it very clear that if it's an item on there, that a vote can be taken. It doesn't have to specifically say the vote, and council didn't comment
I
on
just
that.
assumed he did. We were at
Yep.
that meeting. Okay. All right, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved. This is Pat.
Go ahead, Pat.
I'll move that tuition rate as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Thanks, Karen. All right, we'll vote. All right, is there any discussion? Okay, so we'll vote. Sharon? She didn't join us again, did she? I don't see her on our screen.
No.
Okay, Mike?
Mike Townsley, Bernardston, yes.
Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
Jim Bell, yes.
Pat?
Pat Sherry, yes.
Beth?
Seth Gratz, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue? Sue? Are you with us?
Yeah.
Your vote is yes?
Yep.
Okay. David?
David, yes.
Jess?
Jessica Marshall, yes.
And Kristen Gonzalez, yes. Okay, discussion and vote on 2020-2021 new school calendar.
There's a mistake.
Go ahead.
Memorial Day is the 24th, not the 31st.
All right.
Okay, so that date has to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the school year calendar with that change?
I make that motion, Karen.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Is there a second?
Second.
Jim, thank you. Any discussion? None? Okay, we'll go down the line. Sharon is not back yet, correct? And Mike has left. So Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
I'm voting with a dead brain, but yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Seth?
Seth Gratz, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jess?
Jess Marshall, yes.
And Kristen Gonzalez, yes. Okay, next is discussion and vote on the school counselor job description. So Karen, if you could please explain that to us, that would be fantastic.
Sure. I believe everyone got a copy of that job description. And
Yes.
our subcommittee voted unanimously to support it after making one small addition to the language and recognizing that the end of the language will be necessary. It was originally created by the superintendent, Kevin Burke, and Chris McGuire with the input of current counselors. Does anybody have a question here?
Oh, shoot.
What?
Jeannie, where'd you go? I'm not sure where she went.
And Megan just commented that Memorial Day is the 31st in 2021.
No, it's never the 5th.
The last Monday of the month.
Monday. Is it? Oh,
Yes.
jeez. Thank you for educating.
Yeah, I just looked at my calendar too. Sorry.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, so is there
Do we still have a quorum?
there? Hi, Jeannie. Yep. Go
I
ahead.
I was kicked out.
I'm sorry. I was trying to handle the mute buttons.
Okay, so where are we at?
So
Was
Karen
there-
Karen just discussed the job description and that it has been updated to meet the DESI guidelines, and it was created with the
I heard
counselors,
that.
Kevin, and the superintendent.
And what came after that?
That was it.
Oh, okay, I have a
Did that-
question. I want to know how the change in job description is going to coordinate with the mental health program. I have some real concerns about that. And has anyone gotten written instructions from Maureen Donovan, who heads that mental health program, regarding this change?
I'd have to pass that on to the superintendent.
I'm happy to jump in. I've had conversations with Maureen.
But I
Unless John
want John, I want something in writing from Maureen.
Hold on
Before
one second. Let's
we
give
vote
Kevin
on it.
Burke an opportunity, please, to speak. Go ahead, Kevin.
before I answer that, I'd like some clarification as far as what Jeannie is requesting as far as the connection between the job description of the school counselors at the high school and the telebehavioral program, which Maureen, we actually have it running right now, and what she's looking for in writing to verify. I'm wondering what that connection is.
I know that initially Maureen reached out to Pioneer because number one, Warwick was in their area. Number two, we had a licensed social worker on staff as an adjustment counselor. So my concern is that there is nothing in the new job description about having a licensed LICSW in one of those positions. And is that going to interfere, because it was a basis for us being part of that program?
We're giving recommendations to telebehavioral health right now. In fact, we have 10 current spots that we've worked on with Maureen that I've sat in with our school counselors and her therapist. Any of our counselors can give recommendations. We do not need to have a licensed person on board to do that.
Do you have that in writing from Maureen, Kevin? Because only a licensed person can make a diagnosis.
We're not making diagnosis. We're referring them to them. We're not making diagnosis.
No, the person currently in the position has in the past and is more than capable of making the diagnosis, which was very instrumental.
I have that rating, Jeannie, from Maureen. I can provide that. And she said previously to this committee that you do not need that license, that we have other people in the building she can work with and that can refer. But I can get everybody a copy and something written up. I think I have it from Maureen and email that out to everybody. But
So
this
the
job
one thing,
description isn't anything to do with the telehealth. It's what's currently functioning and what DESI's requiring now. It's updating a very old job description.
And I understand that, John, but the reason that we were able to become part of the telehealth was because we had a licensed social worker within our schools.
so if I can just
we're actually
interject for
not-
1 second.
Yeah, we're
please.
we're control group. We're not part of it. We're the
We're not
control
part
group.
of it.
We're studying what
So-
happens if nothing is done.
Exactly, and it wasn't actually until about once actually COVID happened that Maureen reached out to us, and now we're actually able to offer direct services. And currently, out of the 10 services that the spots that she's offered, we've been able to fill 2 of those, and all our counselors are working with students at all different levels to get more families into those, or more students into those spots. But
So-
prior to that, we have not offered services. We were actually a baseline control group of a school that was not offering those services.
Excuse me, this is Ann.
Hold on 1 second. I can't hear you, Ann.
I'm trying to think. I have a motion here about something that's been on the agenda, so I don't even know what everybody's talking about.
So we're talking about discussion and vote on the school counselor job description. The
Okay.
subcommittee,
That's not on my.
A revised one was sent out.
so if everyone could just take a moment, please. So there's a revised one, and I can send that to you if you need that.
Okay.
Do you need it right now?
Well, apparently I do, because it's not on my list of things that I've already made notes on. And it's late, and I have to be up at about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I'm getting a little frustrated. And this is not something that I'm even aware of.
Okay, so
Is it, what is it under new business?
it's under new business. It's item number 3 that states discussion and vote on school counselor job description.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm looking at apparently the wrong agenda.
Okay, so I'm sending you the right one right now. Okay, so was there a motion made? I'm sorry.
No.
No, there was a lot of discussion. There was a review of the original versus the new, and I've been trying to ask what we're talking about for a while. But
Okay, so I'm trying to get that to you right now.
no, I understand.
Can I just make a comment while you guys are trying to get that in order? I know Jeannie voted to pass over financial reports and everything, but you guys also skipped accounts payable, which has to be approved. Otherwise, can't go out tomorrow. And the May warrant is already postponed a week in May to accommodate for the scholarships. So that warrant has to be signed in order for them to, for accounts payable to mail the checks out that are dated tomorrow.
Okay, so well, Karen has presented the new job description. I'm trying to find this item for Anne. We can entertain a motion or not. And David has just left the meeting as well.
I'm okay to pass the motion. I just need to have real clarity when the motion is recorded so that I know what it's about, since I don't have any, well, I don't.
Okay. I can't seem to find the updated.
If I might just
Go ahead,
offer,
Karen.
sometimes when we get these emails, it's a chain, and it's very difficult to find in your mailbox where that item was. So if people, unless it's a direct reply to an individual, if it's to all of us, please start a new email. That would be my request.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with that.
So I just sent it to you, and it has 4 documents on it. It has the guidance counselor job description.
Thank you.
I didn't know it was there either until I was looking yesterday.
Thank you, Tonya, for helping me with that. Okay, so we are on the topic of the school counselor job description. Is there a motion on the floor?
Karen moves that we accept the new job description for school counselor.
Seconds.
Seth, you were second that? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So any discussion? None? All right, let's go down the voting. Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
Tim Bell, yes.
Pat?
Pat Sherry, yes.
Seth?
Seth Kratz, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, no.
Sue?
I'm going to have to abstain. I'm too tired to process this.
Okay. Jess?
Jessica Marshall, yes.
And Kristen Gonzalez, yes. Okay, next on the agenda is discussion and vote on recommendation for restructuring superintendent evaluation in this cycle. Karen, could you please speak to that?
I can speak to this. I will. This explanation is a little bit longer. It took us a long time to work on this. It's another COVID-related issue that brought us here. Our intent in evaluation of the superintendent is to provide something that's meaningful and fair to the superintendent in what are certainly unprecedented times in all of our lives. I've been given to understand that some districts are postponing their yearly evaluation of their superintendents this year and carrying all the goals forward. However, in reaching out to MASC, I found that they provided guidance that states we should evaluate those original goals with the understanding that the goals might be continued into a following cycle. They state that rating, if you remember your rating scale, significant progress to be considered met, those are 2 categories, for a particular goal in the overall evaluation, and thus they would contribute toward a final rating of proficient. So we will do that with John providing a summary of his progress toward those goals. However, we also felt it was fair to acknowledge the superintendent's work towards new goals, which he has used to guide himself for the 3 months at the close of the evaluation cycle, and which will guide him through the summer and perhaps even into the opening of school, seems likely. We all understand the tremendous challenges faced by everyone in this district, and our subcommittee believes we are also called upon to do this extra work as well. So here's what it's going to look like. You will get the following documents: John's original goals, his summary of his progress toward those goals, an evaluation form for those goals, but also you will John's COVID-19 related goals, in essence, a second set of goals, and his evidence for those goals, a second evaluation form for those goals, and an indicator rubric to guide you in both evaluations. In addition, I will send a set of instructions as reminders of how to do this process. Doing it once a year is hard enough, but doing 2 of them in 1 year is more difficult. So in essence, you'll be completing 2 evaluations. The subcommittee has decided, in consideration of the time spent on each of the 2 sets of goals, to give twice the weight to the COVID-related goals as the original goals. This is in the spirit of the MASC recommendations, which says that we can weight some indicators above others due to the pandemic. So this is the timeline. You'll get those email documents by May 25th. I believe that's next Tuesday. You will have through June 1st, 6 days to complete the 2 evaluations. The evaluation forms will be in a format that allows you to use them electronically and submit them to Kristen and I, or you have the choice to complete yours on paper and leave them in a marked envelope in a drop box just inside the main door at Pioneer. Kristen and I will have them collated and compiled for discussion at the June 11th school committee meeting. Before I take questions, I want to let you know some of what has led us to this arrangement. Several times, John edited his COVID goals and indicators to limit the number of indicators you would have to evaluate him on at the subcommittee's request. He also honored our request to edit the evaluation forms and the indicator rubric to make this more manageable for us by leaving out pages we don't need. Finally, Jim Bell is a member of our subcommittee, and even though he cringes at the word rubric, he fully supports this proposal. We unanimously support this as a committee as well.
Karen, you just woke me up.
So if you have questions, direct them to one of us.
Thank you, Karen.
Karen, can I just add, sorry, Kristen, really quick. The date is actually May 27th, Karen. The 25th is Memorial Day. I think I was going to have everything to you before the 27th.
Okay, all right. So does that still give people 5 days, I hope? 27.
I can try to do my best to get them to you by Monday. It's not a big deal.
No. By Wednesday is fine. That's still 5 or 6 days, and that's what we need. I think we can do it. Okay?
Okay, all right. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
Seth, I'll second.
This is Jess. I
Thank you.
second.
Is there any discussion? Thank you. All right. Is there any discussion amongst anyone? Questions?
Could I just clarify, the motion is to accept the new superintendent evaluation process as outlined by Karen O'Neill?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any, Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
Jim Bell, yes.
Pat?
Pat Sherry, yes.
Seth?
Seth Kratz, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue?
Yes.
David's not here. And Jess?
Yes.
And Kristen Gonzalez, yes. Okay.
Thank
you so
you.
much, Karen.
Yep.
Number 7, because 5 and 6 were included in Jeannie's motion, nomination papers for open school committee member seats. So Joanne in central office has notified those school committee members who term are ending this year. And the next steps for obtaining nomination papers, if they so choose to run again. And this process will also be posted on the web. Go ahead, Jeannie.
I received something from her and I'm not up till 2024 or 2022.
Okay. So I will.
Did she send it to everybody?
No, I didn't get one.
So I'll look into that, Jeannie, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Old business discussion and vote on school choice seats for Northfield Elementary School. So John or Megan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
Right to the bitter end.
Thank you so much.
So I think you have a document that shows the school choice recommendations of 4 school choice slots in 3rd grade. 4 in 5th grade and 8 in 6th grade. That is a revision from the last time we met, or the last time we discussed this.
Okay.
The revision is based on just continuing to watch our numbers at Northfield, as well as information received from Warwick families and whatnot. So there are 2 grades that I took off of the school choice options because their numbers are indicating that there's a potential for the following year of being one class, and I want to make sure that we don't take any school choice students in a grade that could at some point be one class, but that school choice would prevent us from having one class, which is not fiscally responsible. So those are my recommendations. Each of those recommendations keeps class sizes, if all of those slots are filled, at about 20 students or less.
Great, thank you, Megan. All right, do we have a motion? We can entertain a motion.
I would move that.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Is there a second?
Karen seconds it.
Okay, is there any discussion? None thus far. All right, we can move to a vote. Abby?
Abby Pratt, no.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
Jim Bell, yes.
Pat?
Cheshire, yes.
Seth?
Seth Kratz, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue?
Sue, yes.
Jess?
Jessica Marshall, yes.
And Kristen Gonzalez, yes. Okay, thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.
So we have to go back to discuss the point that Tonya brought up about the need to approve. Tonya, can you reiterate what you said before so that the paychecks can go out?
So the accounts payable that's on here needs to be approved so that all of those checks, including all the scholarship checks, can be mailed tomorrow or given. I don't know what the scholarships, if they go to Kevin or what happens with those, but our regular warrant gets pushed out a week in May. So all of our vendors have to wait an extra week to get paid. So it's very important that this gets taken care of tonight so that you can sign that warrant for Brenda.
Okay, so since it was on Jeannie's original motion, we're gonna need another motion to bring it back.
I don't know if she said accounts payable, did she?
Yep, because I started it on my paper.
All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion. to
Okay.
Bring accounts payable back on to the agenda for this evening.
Thank you, Karen. Is there a second?
This is Seth, I second it.
Thank you, Seth. Okay, is there any discussion? None? All right, let's vote. Abby?
Abby Pratt, yes.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Jim?
Jim Bell, yes.
Pat?
Cheshire, yes.
Seth?
Seth Kratz, yes.
Jeannie?
Jeannie Milton, yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Kristen? Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Tonya, if you could do this, please.
It's just the accounts payable listing that they have. So they're just approving the bill list. There's nothing for me to discuss.
Okay, are there any questions for the accounts payable portion? Has everyone had an opportunity to review those documents? Go ahead, Jeannie.
I'm trying to find the document.
It's in the first set of documents that
Joanne sent.
Joanne sent out. The warrant total is $286,061.
Wait a minute, Tonya, I'm looking for that.
It was sent Monday, May 18th at 4:02, and it was the
all right, okay. Whoops, wait a minute.
I have the accounts payable report, that one, Tonya?
Yeah.
I'm not finding.
Do you want me to share my screen with everyone? Would that be easier?
Easier. It's 78 pages, though.
We're not gonna, I don't think it should be shared.
Just the summary page at the end that gives the totals.
Okay, hold
And
on.
I can do that very quickly if you want me to, Kristen.
I think I have it.
Okay.
Oh, geez Louise. Lots of security features.
I would say I have it. Oh, you got it? All right.
I got it. Okay.
So if you just scroll to that last page, it has the summary of the 286 on it.
Right here.
Yep, that summarizes.
Everyone see that? So the general funds, $214,517.79. School lunch, $1,308.32. Scholarships are in the amount of $4,430, 0 cents. Early childhood tuition is $5,871 and 0 cents. After school tuition is $4,049.63. Special education circuit breaker is $40,375.96. Rural aid for FY20 is $2,819.70. FY20 title Tonya, can you finish that, please?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we normally don't go through this and vote line by line, so I don't know if everyone wants to just take a look at that, if anyone has any questions on it, but this is typically, you guys just review this and approve it if you guys have any questions. The rural, I think you left off on SPED, rural aid was 2008-1970. Our Title II grant was $995, same as our Title IV. UPK for NES was $265. Bernardston's UPK is $509. CFCE grant was $1336.72. CTTP grant was $759 or $69. The EC sped improvements $1,029, and the FY20 STARS residency was $6,800. The total warrant's $286,061.73, dated May 22nd.
What is the STARS residency?
The STARS residency is a art council grant that provides art residencies in our school buildings.
Right.
And those were services that were already provided earlier this year. We were just waiting on the invoices from the consultants who performed those.
Great, thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
This is Ann. I just want to clarify, you're reviewing the AP report, but the warrants will be signed separately based on that AP warrant, right?
That is the warrants. Kristen has authority to solely sign the warrant during this COVID situation. So it just has to approve it, and then she signs the actual warrant itself and scans it to the central office.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to understand. It's a little different than usual.
So we're all set with that, Tonya?
Yes.
Okay.
You can just sign that and scan that over when you get a second. Thanks.
Sounds good. I'll meet up with Joanne. So at this time, our next meeting will be next Wednesday at 7 p.m. We'll have that posted. And then the next regularly scheduled meeting will be Thursday, June 11th, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Google Meet as well. We can entertain a motion to end the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Jim. Second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Thanks for everyone's patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Have a good evening.
You too.
What's left of it?
Bye-bye.